35, Sam Abraham had built a life many people dream of. He was originally from Kerala, India, but he'd started a new chapter, settling with his young family in the quiet suburb of Epping, Melbourne. His wife, Sophia, was not only beautiful but also graceful and well-liked by everyone. They had a young son who filled their home with laughter. Friends and neighbors always spoke of them as a warm, loving, and truly devoted family. But everything changed on October 14th, 2015. Sophia woke up to a terrifying reality. Sam wasn't responding. In a moment of sheer panic and desperation, she called her sister, Sonia, who was a trained nurse. Sophia's voice, trembling with raw distress, conveyed that Sam was not responding. Sonia, understanding the urgency, rushed over immediately, bringing another nurse friend to help. What they found was a chillingly still scene. Sam Abraham lay motionless on his bed, still dressed from the day before. His eyes were closed, and his body was already cold and stiff to the touch. A truly unsettling sight greeted them. Foam around his mouth, his jaw clenched tight as if he'd bitten his own tongue. A disturbing mix of blood and frothy fluid seeped from his lips. The immediate realization was undeniable. Something terribly, tragically wrong had happened. Even with all their training, the two nurses couldn't bring him back. They tried CPR again and again, but it didn't help. The house was quiet except for the sounds of their efforts. After trying everything they could, Sophia finally called emergency services. Her voice was full of heartbreak, and her cries could be heard clearly during the call, the painful sound of a wife in shock and disbelief. The paramedics arrived quickly and took over, using their equipment to try to bring him back. But it was already too late. Sam's body was cold, just 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which showed he had been dead for hours. There was nothing more anyone could do. At first, nothing seemed out of place. There were no injuries on Sam's body, no signs that anyone had broken in, and no sign of a struggle. The bedroom was strangely calm, like nothing had happened. To the first responders, it looked like Sam had just died in his sleep, maybe from a heart attack or another sudden problem. That was the first thought that spread through the community. In the quiet, somber hours that followed Sam Abraham's death, Sophia Sam was utterly devastated. She carried the immense weight of her loss with a profound and heart-wrenching sorrow. As soon as the paramedics said Sam had passed, she began calling family, both in Australia and back in Kerala. Her voice shook with shock and deep sadness as she shared the terrible news. Sam had died suddenly in his sleep, likely from a heart attack. The news spread quickly through their close-knit Malayali community, leaving everyone shocked and in disbelief. Even in her deep grief, Sophia found the strength to arrange for Sam's body to be taken back to Kerala for the traditional funeral. She carefully managed all the paperwork and travel plans, making sure everything was in place. She also made sure their young son would be able to go with her. At the same time, the kind-hearted Malayali Association in Melbourne quickly came together to help after hearing about the tragedy. In just a few hours, they raised around 30,000 Australian dollars to support Sophia with travel and funeral costs. The community didn't hesitate. They trusted her completely and gave her all the help and care they could. The family was still in shock. Even though Sam had lived far from home, he had always remained closely connected to his loved ones in Kerala. No matter how busy things got, Sam and Sophia made it a point to return to Kerala every year for vacation. In fact, just 4 days before the tragedy, Sam and Sophia had returned to Australia after spending 2 weeks vacationing with family in Kerala. Just 2 days after Sam passed away on October 16, 2015, his body arrived in Kerala. Sophia and their son came home with him. She was still overwhelmed with grief, crying in front of heartbroken relatives. At the funeral in Sam's hometown of Karuvata, near Punalur in Kollam district, Sophia wept beside the casket. People remembered her bending down, sobbing, as she gently kissed Sam's forehead while holding their confused little boy close. Many relatives and friends were moved to tears, seeing how deeply she loved Sam. By October 24th, 2015, just 10 days after Sam's death, Sophia was still grieving. But she couldn't stay in Kerala much longer. Her job and her son's school were both back in Australia. Though she wanted to spend more time with Sam's parents, She had no choice but to return. For Sam's parents, Samuel and Lilama, Sophia had always been more than just a daughter-in-law. She was like a cherished daughter. They'd known her since childhood. She grew up in their neighborhood and shared the same church choir as Sam. Even in the months after the funeral, Sophia stayed in consistent contact, calling them weekly from Melbourne. For almost 10 months after Sam's death, back in their quiet home in Colum, Kerala, Sam's parents, Samuel and Lilama, held on to the comforting thought of Sophia as their heartbroken daughter-in-law. Her weekly phone calls from Melbourne meant everything to them. Through those calls, they stayed connected to their beloved grandson and the life Sam had once lived. Sophia often spoke about how much she missed Sam, shared everyday updates from Melbourne, and talked lovingly about their son. Then, in August 2016, their world was shattered all over again, this time in a way that was even more painful than before. The news didn't come from a quiet phone call with Sophia, but from the media. News channels and reports across India began sharing something too shocking to believe. Headlines screamed a horrible truth. Sophia Sam had been arrested in Australia by the Victoria Police Homicide Squad. Jail? In Australia? The words felt unreal, too shocking to believe. But what broke them even more was the reason why. Sophia hadn't just been asked questions. The news said something terrible. She was arrested for Sam's murder. Suddenly, a flood of questions filled their minds, turning their grief into confusion and fear. If Sam really died of a heart attack, how could Sophia be involved? And if she was guilty, why did it take the police almost 10 months to arrest her? Was this some plan by the woman they loved like a daughter? Or was she being set up in something much darker and more complicated? For Samuel and Lilama, the shock was unbearable. At first, they couldn't believe it. Then came a deep sense of betrayal. How could the woman who cried over their son's casket be accused of killing him? "We went into deep shock when we heard what the police were saying," Lilama later said, her voice still full of pain. "We still can't believe Sophia would do something like this." And then came even more heartbreaking news. Reports said Sophia was having an affair with another man, Arun Kamalasanan, and that the two had planned the murder together. If it was a case of affair that Sophia had with Arun, I am puzzled about how a woman could love 2 men at a time, Samuel said, confused and hurt. The betrayal cut even deeper. Sam had been murdered just 3 days after he visited them in Kerala. Gradually, it was becoming clear to Samuel how Sam, usually full of life, had shared something strange with him and some relatives. Sam had said that if he ever came back to India again, it might be in a coffin. He even pointed out where he wanted to be buried. Back then, they thought he was just joking. But now, after learning the truth, Samuel realized it wasn't a joke. It was a warning they hadn't understood until it was too late. To understand what happened and why the police arrested Sophia for Sam's murder, and to learn who Arun is, the man Sophia is allegedly involved with, we need to look back at the events in Melbourne. Right after Sam died, everyone thought it was natural causes. But when the autopsy results came in, they told a very different and shocking story. The idea of a sudden heart attack was proven wrong by the medical examiner's report. Sam didn't die from a heart attack, like Sophia had told everyone, including his family in Kerala. Instead, the autopsy found something terrifying: cyanide in Sam's blood, and in very high amounts. Yes, Sam Abraham had been poisoned, but it didn't end there. The report also showed Sam had clonazepam in his system, a strong prescription drug used for anxiety and as a sedative or sleeping pill. The mix of cyanide and clonazepam showed something very clear and very dark. Sam's death was not natural. It was a planned murder. The careful police investigation was just beginning. Who is Arun? Why did Sophia become the primary suspect in Sam's murder? And how deep did her betrayal go? To understand, we need to go back in time, to Kerala, India, back to the quiet village of Karuvada in the Kollam district, where Sam Abraham was born. From a young age, Sam was kind, soft-spoken, and bright. He sang in his local church choir, and that's where he met Sophia. They were neighbors, classmates. Eventually sweethearts, it was a love story that defied traditions. Sophia once told her parents with raw conviction, "If I can't marry Sam, I don't want to live." She wanted to marry Sam above all else. But while Sam was in Tamil Nadu pursuing his MBA, Sophia enrolled for postgraduate studies in Kerala at Mahatma Gandhi University. And there, she met Arun, an engineering student. What began as friendly conversation soon became more. They spent a lot of time studying and chatting together, and eventually, despite being in a relationship with Sam, Sophia maintained a secret affair, a hidden relationship with Arun. What Sam never realized was that while he was dreaming of a life with Sophia, Sophia was living a double life. She was in a relationship with not just him, but also with Arun. They'd been together since college, starting around 2003. In 2005, 2 years after Sophia's secret affair with Arun began, both Sam and Sophia finished their post-graduation. Arun, by then, had already landed a job in Mumbai. And just like that, Sam and Sophia found themselves back in each other's orbit. But here's the thing, Sophia never told Sam about her past with Arun. She kept that chapter locked away like it never existed. 3 years later, in 2008, Sam and Sophia decided to get married. Sam's father, Samuel, harbored a quiet hesitation. Perhaps it was just a parent's instinct. Maybe it was something he saw in Sophia. He said no. And that's when things took a darker turn. Sophia threatened to end her life if she wasn't allowed to marry Sam. Faced with such an ultimatum, and seeing how deeply in love his son was, Sam's father gave in. The two were married in a beautiful Christian ceremony, full of joy, full of dreams. None of them had any idea that the same woman who was now the bride would one day be arrested for Sam's murder. In 2009, Sam and Sophia became parents. On the surface, life seemed stable. Sophia secured a job with a firm in Bangalore, while Sam took up a promising position at Lulu Exchange in Oman. Though the distance was challenging, they stayed committed. Sam made regular trips home during holidays to be with his family. But despite having a devoted husband and a young child, Sophia was not content. An entry from Arun's diary, dated July 9th, 2013, reads, "Met my love for first time in Melbourne after 7 months." This confirmed that their relationship, which began years earlier in Kerala, had continued even after Sophia's marriage, suggesting that the affair persisted during her time in India. Sophia found herself in a difficult position. She wanted to distance herself from Sam, but his frequent visits to India made it harder to move on. Even the brief moments with him felt like unwanted interruptions. She was deeply in love with Arun. So, she came up with a new plan. Sophia decided to move to Australia. Sophia's elder sister, Sonia Andrews, was already settled in Melbourne, working as a nurse. Seeing this as an opportunity for a fresh start, Sophia applied for and secured a job in Melbourne. However, this move wasn't solely about career advancement. Arun, despite being married with a child, was also eager to relocate to Australia. For both Sophia and Arun, the move represented more than just a new beginning. It was a chance to be closer to each other. Sam wasn't thrilled. From Oman, he could easily visit India and see his family. Moving to Australia would make things complicated. So he made her a counter-offer. "Why not come with me to Oman instead?" But Sophia didn't agree. She was determined to start fresh in Australia. Deep down, she had another reason. Arun, her secret lover, was also planning to move to Melbourne. On December 2nd, 2012, Sophia packed her bags and left for Melbourne, taking their 3-year-old son with her. Her elder sister was already settled there, and Sophia had secured a job. Sam didn't object. He wasn't a man chasing big ambitions. He simply wanted to keep his family together. So in July 2013, he moved to Australia as well, hopeful that the distance between them would finally close. But just weeks later, another man from Sophia's past arrived in Melbourne, Arun. Once he landed, the connection between Sophia and Arun quickly reignited. Over the next 2 years, they maintained a secret relationship. And this wasn't just hearsay. Sophia kept a diary, and the entries inside would later become vital evidence in unraveling the truth behind Sam Abraham's murder. Eventually, the truth about Sophia's affair came to light. Sam, who had loved Sophia since childhood and chosen her as his life partner, discovered that she had been involved with another man. While the exact details of how Sam responded are not fully documented, it is believed that for the sake of their family, especially their young son, he chose to continue the relationship. However, later the investigation revealed that Sophia's feelings towards Sam may have been conflicted. According to the prosecution, her relationship with Aaron was ongoing, and Sam had become an obstacle in her plans. This tension is believed to have contributed to the tragic events that followed. It was also revealed that Sam had confided in a friend, sharing that there was no love between them anymore. And so, in July 2015, just 3 months before Sam's death, something chilling happened. At Melbourne's Lalore station, Sam was violently attacked by a masked man wearing a balaclava who had been hiding in the footwell of his car. The assault was sudden and brutal. Sam was stabbed in the neck, temple, and cheek. He managed to survive and later filed a police report. The discovery of cable ties, handcuffs, and fabric scraps inside his vehicle suggested that the attack was more than a random act. It was premeditated. Subsequent investigations revealed that the masked assailant was allegedly Aaron, leading to charges of attempted murder. Just months before his death, Sam Abraham visited his hometown in Kollam, Kerala. What should have been a peaceful family visit turned into something far more unsettling. During conversations with his relatives, Sam made a series of chilling remarks that, in hindsight, seemed like a haunting premonition. He told his family that he believed he would most likely be dead soon. And with a disturbing calmness, he added that the next time he would return home, it would be in a coffin. He even made specific burial requests, asking his father to ensure that he was laid to rest near his grandfather's grave. At the time, his relatives brushed it off. They scolded him for being overly dramatic and didn't pay much attention. The deeper context, his troubled marriage, the emotional strain, the mysterious attack in Melbourne, was never fully understood or discussed. Sam's quiet desperation, his subtle cries for help, went unnoticed. But looking back, those words now carry a heavy weight. They weren't just expressions of anxiety, they were warnings. And they went unheeded. And 3 months later, in October 2015, Sam's body indeed returned to Kerala. Not on a holiday flight, but in a coffin. The culmination of the conspiracy against Sam Abraham occurred on October 14, 2015, in his Melbourne home. On the night of October 14, 2015, Sophia and Arun put their dark plan into action. Arun was the man Sophia had secretly loved for years. That night, he allegedly snuck into Sam's house in Epping, Melbourne. He had been hiding in the bushes outside, waiting for the right time. Around 10 p.m., when Sophia got home, she quietly let Aaron inside through the garage door. Once inside, Arun moved carefully and with a cold sense of purpose. He had been watching the family's routine, even peeking through windows to make sure his timing was right. His first move was to knock Sam out. In court, it was said that Aaron put sleeping pills into an avocado smoothie that was left unattended. Sam drank it, not knowing what was inside. With Sam deeply asleep and helpless, the most terrifying part of the plan began. Aaron allegedly mixed potassium cyanide into a glass of orange juice. Then, while Sam was unconscious or barely awake in bed, Aaron poured the poison juice down his throat. During this horrifying act, Sophia, Sam's wife, was reportedly asleep beside him along with their young son. Judge Coughlin, who led the trial, later said that Aaron couldn't have committed this cold-blooded murder without Sophia knowing and helping. He made it clear that Sophia was a full and willing participant in the plan. Sam Abraham was found dead in his bed at his home in Epping, Melbourne, on October 14, 2015. Sophia was the one who found his body. When paramedics arrived, they saw that Sam was foaming at the mouth and not breathing. At first, it looked like Sam had died of natural causes, maybe a heart attack or a silent stroke. Sophia supported that story, even giving Sam's parents a health report saying he had a collapsed artery, which made them believe it wasn't suspicious. But everything changed when the autopsy results came in. The report showed clearly that Sam had been poisoned with cyanide. Right away, police reclassified the case from a natural death to a full murder investigation. In Victoria, murder cases like this are handled by expert detectives in the Homicide Squad, a special unit within the Victoria Police Crime Command. Victoria Police began a secret and advanced investigation into Sophia and Aaron. These covert operations went on for months, from November 2015 to May 2016. Undercover officers carefully watched Sophia and Arun, keeping detailed records of what they did, like grocery shopping, running errands, and meeting for lunch in downtown Melbourne. Photos of these meetings were later shown in court. The long surveillance was part of a smart plan by the police. They never let Sophia know. They were watching her and kept tracking her for months. Eventually, thinking they were in the clear, Sophia and Arun started meeting more openly again. This slow and steady approach paid off. The two became careless and ended up giving police more evidence without realizing it. The hidden investigation kept collecting proof that would later be key in court. One major part of the investigation was the monitoring of phone calls and messages between Sophia and Aaron. Police recorded an incredible 6,000 phone conversations between them, showing how often and how closely they were in contact. Police also found Sophia's personal diary during the investigation. It had clear confessions of her deep love for Aaron. Even more shocking, it was a shared diary. Aaron had written in it too. When some of the diary entries were read in court, they revealed just how emotionally connected they were. Sophia had written things like, "Can you hold me tight? I want to drift away in your love, and you are the one for me, but you don't belong to me." Arun's diary entries showed the same deep feelings. He wrote things like, "It may take thousands of books to describe how much I love my eternal love. She is the best match for me. But what to do? I am sure that one day she will be mine." These diary entries were key in revealing their secret relationship and in showing a strong motive for the murder. As part of the 5-month undercover operation, Arun allegedly gave a detailed confession about the murder to an undercover cop. He even drew a sketch of Sam's house, marking where he hid in the bushes and how he entered through the garage when Sophia came home around 10 p.m. on October 14, 2015. Aaron also reportedly told the officer how he watched the family through the windows and slipped sleeping pills into Sam's avocado smoothie. But during his official police interview, Aaron denied having anything to do with Sam's death. Investigators also found that Sophia and Arun had opened a joint bank account. This financial connection showed they were planning a future together, adding even more weight to the case that they worked together and had a clear motive. All this led to the arrest and eventual conviction of Sophia, Sam, and Arun. In August 2016, nearly 10 months after Sam's death, both were arrested and charged with murder. Arun was also charged with attempted murder for an earlier attack on Sam, where he had worn a balaclava. Both Sophia and Aaron pleaded not guilty to the murder charges. The case went through committal hearings in the Magistrates Court of Victoria, which found there was enough evidence to send the case to trial. That trial was held in the Supreme Court of Victoria. In February 2018, the jury found both Sophia and Aaron guilty of murder. On June 21, 2018, Justice Coughlin sentenced Sophia to 22 years in prison, with no chance of parole for 18 years. Aaron got 27 years with a minimum of 23 years before he could apply for parole. Sophia asked the court for a lighter sentence because of her young son, but the judge refused. He said the child was the biggest victim, now left without both parents. Both Sophia and Arun tried to appeal their convictions, but the Supreme Court of Victoria rejected the appeals and upheld the jury's decision. In August 2019, Arun's sentence was reduced by 3 years, down to 24 years with a 20-year non-parole period. The court said his original sentence was too harsh compared to Sophia's, especially since the court had already ruled that she played an equal role in the murder. This case compels us to confront profound questions about human nature, trust, and the devastating consequences of unchecked desires. Sophia, who once fought fiercely for the right to marry Sam, became the architect of his demise. How did the woman who threatened to end her own life if she couldn't marry Sam transform into someone capable of orchestrating his murder? How did she, in such a short span, not only embrace another man, but become so consumed by that obsession that she seemingly cast aside all thought for her own son, whose father she so cruelly snatched away? It is truly astonishing to witness how Sophia maintained the facade of a heartbroken widow before society and her family. She wept uncontrollably over Sam's casket, acting as if her world had crumbled. This chilling deception, juxtaposed with the cold reality of her actions, shatters the very foundation of trust within a marriage. If the bond between husband and wife can be so utterly betrayed, it forces one to view the entire world through a lens of suspicion. And then there is Arun, an educated man, a husband, a father. He too became entangled in this web of obsession, consumed by a destructive lust that led him to obliterate the present and future of his own family. The prosecution argued that the two had entered into an agreement or understanding to kill Sam Abraham, with an aim to live together in the future. The question lingers: why murder when divorce was an option? While Sophia's reasons remain unclear, her choice speaks volumes. It suggests a chilling disregard for the sanctity of life, and a desperate, perhaps delusional, belief that eliminating Sam was the only path to their desired future. Justice Coughlin, in his sentencing, underscored this profound betrayal. He stated that Sophia, as Sam's wife and friend, committed a fundamental breach of trust that demanded strong denouncement by the court. He concluded that Arun could not have carried out the cold-blooded murder without Sophia's explicit knowledge and involvement. The tragic outcome left Sam's parents, Samuel and Lilama, grappling with unimaginable pain. "We still can't believe Sophia would do something like this," Lilama lamented. Samuel, puzzled by how a woman could love two men at a time, questioned the very fabric of their trust. Their disbelief, and their family's initial claims that the case was fabricated, stood in stark contrast to the court's definitive verdict. And the ultimate victim, as the judge poignantly noted, Sam and Sophia's young son, left to grow up without either parent. Ultimately, the truth in this complex case was brought to light through the tireless efforts of Australian police. Their months-long investigation meticulously pieced together the hidden clues, revealing the full extent of the betrayal, and ensuring that justice, however painful, was finally served.